and try to challenge them with early game. And what a better champion to do it on than Cold's Alistar. This is probably his best champ, and we've seen him go for these flanks and outside of lane ganks quite often.
Now the biggest question is what changes here, right? Because usually it is the AD carry picked up, but will it be a standard? Hecarim still there here for the LPL. The Udyr is a quick response, something that's still strong. And yeah, the jungle may turn into a less farming, less of a farming place, but you're still there. You're still going to pull up early levels. And so far, pick and ban looks standard, like we haven't changed.
Yeah, we actually saw a lot of bleed through from 11.3. Like a lot of the LPL players, because they were already on live, they just kind of import the meta retroactively. So a lot of picks we should expect to be rather similar, but the timings will be off just by a little bit. I don't think you're going to see Hecarim hit level 6 so soon, and of course the main power spike that he gets with the Turbo Chem tank is also going to come later. I'm sorry guys, I really didn't think LeBlanc was coming here today. I didn't want to talk about it.
That's all right, Clement. Hey, you did your job right. We still see the Kaisa, and yeah, there's some small adaptations, small changes, but Kaisa's still in a great position, right? It's like Udyr, who had his clear, or at least his AoE aura down, but not enough to pull them out of the meta, and still on 11.5, the Kaisa gets picked up, and again, standard so far, but we have to see how this gets rounded out. At the least for WE, we know that they're a team that can breathe up, and maybe the top lane reins in some new picks here as we're starting to ban some more weight from WE's side.
Looks like OMG are saving their last pick for, they probably do it for Wuming instead of New. New has been much more of a weak side player, so I don't think they're necessarily going to pick top lane. They're probably going to pick top lane next here. On WE's side, this is actually interesting because they're going for a pretty strong priority mid jungle. We still have Udyr as probably the best champion on the patch. And Zoe is not exactly a Shanks champion. He is much more about the Orianna and Cassiopeia. I think this is trying something new for their squad. We're going to see how this one actually goes and if they can actually increase the tempo through a champion like Zoe. Because this is a champion that actually necessitates some early action if you want to snowball properly.
That's right. You know, it can be set up by the Udyr really nicely as well. Good CC chain in the 2v2. And on the OMG side, picking up the top lane, you're exactly right. Wuming gets that last pick priority. And now for WE, they have to put their cards on the table. And it is about what Breathe wants to take into the Gnar. Does he want to look for the counter matchup or just something that's a front line? You already have a lot of scaling here and going to run the GP into it, which a lot of players have seen as getting the early priority over the Gnar and actually doing okay as well. So there is a lot of snowball potential in this game for WE, Clement.
I did want to see the Jace come out. I felt like with the Zoe, a double pull comp would have been pretty sweet.
True.
But of course, Gangplank is nice as well. And with the Gangplank, it just means that this strategy is focused more towards the bottom side of the map. You have that cannon barrage going down there. And Zoe should be able to leave lane if that pick ends up something like a Victor from OMG. We just saw them flashing through both the Kiana and the Victor pick. So we're going to see which one it is. LeBlanc has been considered somewhat of a counter to Zoe, but it's a really, really rare pick, and I'm not sure how this one actually ends up going. This is going to be, I believe, the first LeBlanc that we've seen from Wuming this entire year.
Yeah, I mean, this is great because we just talked about Everfrost, and everyone picks up Everfrost. So the real question is, are you going to pick it up on LeBlanc when you can actually utilize it with a quick distortion activation? That's something we can talk about going into game, Clement. You're going to walk me through these compositions because I see a lot of scaling actually on the side of WE, but you already mentioned the snowballing capabilities and how Shanks is in a position to set up early.
So both of these compositions are trying to move their mid laners. That's going to be I think the main deciding factor out of these. If Zoe can get to the bottom lane first with Cannon Barrage, I think that's going to be a flat out win for WE. But on the other side, they're trying to kind of prevent that play by just going with the LeBlanc counter pick. We have seen this in the past, especially from someone like Scout, who really likes to just jump on your portal jump position. If Zoe comes in onto you, you can really dodge it out quite easily with your first dash and then go back in with the mirror onto the portal jump to get a lot of damage onto Zoe. She has to go back, so that also makes it easy for chains to land, but it's not really a champion that we have seen in this year whatsoever. 2021 has not been great for LeBlanc. And I think the problem is that she's just not a very good teamfight champion. We don't really see her being utilized even by the best LeBlanc players. And also, it's a bit of a tier meta. So a lot of mid laners have been just going back and doing cheater recalls, and that cuts down on the time that LeBlanc can harass people down quite significantly.
It hits on the note that we talked about earlier in the split, where mid lane has just been a farm fest, right? It hasn't been about dominating laning phase, and I feel like partly, you know, Rookie hasn't been playing the lane to fruition. A lot of these other top mid laners, excuse me, haven't been dominating the lane either. Of course, I don't know how I do it, but every time I always bring in IG into a series. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go into game 1, though, and for WE in their home arena, trying to get closer towards locking in playoffs, OMG on their last legs here in the 2021 Spring Split. Welcome to 11.5, the first region locking this forward, and we're going to learn a lot going into today. Seeing the LeBlanc already is quite exciting, as we have an Electrocute from Wuming as well. Electrocute from Shanks. Double Ignite mid, Clement. And you know what? That's an opportunity for success for whoever gets ahead.
Yeah, this is not something we see every day. Typically, we do see the Unsealed Spellbook coming out from Shanks, but he wants to get some action in as well. In this matchup between Udyr and Hecarim, we do expect Udyr to have the upper hand just in terms of farming and dueling for the first couple of levels. So we'll see if Shanks can kind of use that, but as it goes later into the game, LeBlanc is slightly favored into this matchup. We have seen, once again, Scout kind of uses as a counter matchup. And taking a look at the jungle pathing, we are going to have both sides heading towards the top. I'd say a little bit more favorable for WE here, as you typically see the Gnar chunk down against the Gangplank.
Let's also remind the audience that it was actually a leash given by Eric and Cole. I think Jiumeng and Missing didn't actually participate, so they're out in the lane first. And the one thing that's remained the same from 11.3 to now is the fact that we still see bot laners getting ready for a 2-star. As Missing goes in, this is a small trade. Halo Blades for both AD carries, and I think Eric and Cole actually win that one out.
Oh, they win it pretty handily. Typically, Alistar versus Leona, whoever goes in first will lose the trade. And as we are taking a look at the top lane, with that grass proc going on, it's always quite hard for Gnar in the early levels. This is kind of interesting, like Gnar versus Gangplank historically sometimes has even favored the Gnar, but with the Sheen changes this year around, going to 700 gold and keeping the same amount of damage output, it has been Gangplank just as a straight up counter against the Gnar. So there's going to be a lot of pressure top lane. We already see Breathe warding out the potential entry points for Aki, and Aki is not going to have an impact in this top lane with those two wards going down.
Yeah, being on blue side, having an early Tri-Brush ward, especially against the Hecarim, feels so nice here. And there's Gangplank as well. You've got the setup for the barrel chain in case Hecarim comes in, adding the slow, just something to keep wary of. As we will note that Aki is quicker in the clear, and let's go back to the point we were talking about coming into today, Clement. You know, it is going to be a slower level lead for the jungle. We remember at 11.3, junglers, there were times where junglers just had the highest level in the game. It was incredible. It was quite ridiculous, even in early parts, without that much of a significant lead. So we are going to get a slower pace out of the junglers, and we are going to get jungle leads that aren't as extravagant as they were. As this is a bit of a setup in the top lane. Clement, you talked about it. Doesn't matter if Aki's here. Pushed into the wall. Breathe overextends with a massive wave setup. He'll use the orange, but he's dead anyway. And OMG punish fast.
They had the wards, but Breathe just went so far in trying to get... I'm not exactly sure what he was trying to do right there. Like, getting those two auto attacks off on the tower didn't seem worth it compared to the reset he could have gotten. He was just trying to zone his enemy away. But Aki comes in with the ghost. He doesn't go cheap on the summoners whatsoever, just rushes him down, and Breathe saves his flash. He knew he overextended. Kind of a silly play for me in the top lane, given the lead that he had and the snowball potential. And you also have to point out that kill actually went back to New. So New is actually ahead in this lane right now.
Yeah, it's oh man, it's incredible to see that start from WE's top lane. I mean, kind of characteristic where Breathe has been, you know, a decent part of WE's success. So a really sloppy start, you're right. First blood goes over to New as well on this Gnar, and I feel like the matchup's going to change where he's now able to push out. We might see these early boots coming through as well, Clement, and giving you maybe a bit more success in this lane from now on.
Yep, just looking at the bot lane trade, of course Tristana can always buffer the WQ combo coming out from Cold. Very easy jump away from him here. And I do want to see something actually develop in this bottom side. I think this is what WE is
going. Oh my god, hang on, Flash Ignite, Paddle Star, Wuming one auto. What? It's a solo kill. Shanks may go down, but man, Zoe just solo killed a LeBlanc.
Well, Umi really shouldn't have tried to face check that Bruh. Try to follow Zoe there. Gets the full combo onto his face and just dies. That's very unexpected. Once again, Wuming actually selected LeBlanc as the counter pick. Doesn't come out ahead.
Not over though. Eric in the bottom lane almost kills Jiumeng. OMG's bottom lane actually doing quite well here. And yeah, coming back to mid, it's kind of funny because he face checked, he wanted to stop the back, and this is what we're talking about. It's double ignite from these mid laners with Electrocute. The kill threat is there, and Shanks tries to bring it on. Clement, let's look again.
Yeah, this is just a little bit of a late ward coming in from LeBlanc. A good flash in by Shanks. Knows his damage numbers beautifully. And that was actually a decent chain coming out from Wuming. So even though he goes down, the gold lead actually goes over to OMG with that extra assist gold. We do have to factor that in. That's 50% of the killed gold going over to the jungler. And all in all, it wasn't actually that terrible for Wuming. Just kind of unnecessary. Let's just put it that way. As OMG also find themselves a decent trade on the bottom side. This is not technically how we expect the bottom side to work. Usually we just think of the AD carries canceling each other out and Tristana getting the push, but OMG has actually played this bottom side really, really well. I felt like the engages were a lot better from their side, and they're actually able to get an extra summoner compared to their AD carry on Eric.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the trade on Eric before, right? Eric to Jiumeng, rather. Forced out the heal. Jiumeng almost went down, and as we come back and get the dragon over to OMG, they start off with the mountain. This game starting out in OMG's favor, punishing the top lane. Wuming trading off mid, you talked about, getting the objective as well. And this is what I was talking about against Rogue Warriors. OMG actually looked pretty concise for a team that is towards the bottom of the standings, and for a team that's been so messy throughout the regular season.
Yeah, OMG are the team that has probably one of the best supporting cast in the entirety of the LPL.
Agreed.
Like, Aki and Cold are phenomenal players. The only problem is OMG does not have carries. That's always what comes to bite them in the end of the game. The best scenario for them has typically been for Aki to pop off. If Aki gets his blue cane going, if he gets a fed Skarner early and just taxes everyone, that's great.
Bottom lane though, that's the flash forward, teleport being burned as well. Jiumeng's already used the rocket jump, missing, stunned up into the wall, gets sent, missing follows him as well. Ignites down, two-man pulverized, missing goes into his death, and OMG, the proactive plays there again.
This is really what happens when your top lane loses out and you're trying to perma-shove bot at the same time. We saw the teleport difference from Breathe. He had to TP directly after that first kill. There's no answer coming out from the Gangplank. And, you know, Tristana is going to shove. That's what she does. She can't control it. That's just her impulse. And OMG punish it to the maximum extent. Just very clean play from them.
Trade from WE, though, is this top lane turret, but definitely going to be well worth for OMG. Breathe getting back into the lane, meanwhile. Beishang started up the Rift Herald. Both junglers are level 7 here, so that could be a contest from Aki as Cold's moving as well. Shanks actually getting the bubble. Onslaught of Shadows used, but the Zoe now going to get chained, and WE, this is just not a good start. Shanks goes in by himself. He's taken down. Herald has to be pulled off of, and this early game is falling apart.
A lot of people actually rotated for that one. Beishang was on the Herald for a significant amount of time. And look at that tempo lead on that top side. There's no one actually walking up right now to defend. And with this Herald going down, it actually allows for... I would prefer to see them just drop it mid and give Wuming some extra gold. I think that's actually preferable, given that LeBlanc has to snowball to kind of keep her relevant. So we'll see if that one actually happens. But in the meantime, with Tristana trading tempo, it's always her risk. She can strip towers down super, super quickly. And they know that Aki is still going to take a while to get back into this lane. So we are going to see about 320 gold traded back onto WE's bottom side. The Herald gold kind of being nullified there.
It really is. As it gets taken down, just note that it was only one bit of turret plating to be taken. Turret plating for the second time round actually not given over to Jiumeng, who was pushing before, so just the 160 for now. And I think it's important to note that for OMG, they've got a 1k gold lead here in this game, but even after everything, I mean, Breathe yet again solo in this lane as OMG finally moved new from the bottom lane, but he walks all the way up. 3 bits of turret plating, I mean, just staying in these lanes does feel like Breed's mitigated a lot of the pressure that OMG were taking.
I'll be honest, I really don't like preemptive lane swapping to stop Heralds. And especially against Tristana, I feel like a lot of teams fall for this trap. What we've seen from FPX as well is they do this. They start a Herald, the enemy team tries to interrupt, and their Tristana never leaves the lane. And what often that actually ends up happening is that Tristana wins that side of the trade, because she can take 2 turret platings for the Herald and still come out on top. In the meantime, OMG actually lost a lot of CS on both their top laner and their ADC.
A lot of CS, a lot of experience, and the fact is Breathe was suffering a little bit in this lane after getting bullied early. 3 bits of turret plating versus none for New. I mean, now there's a big gold lead on Breathe as well. So we'll be watching this GP into the next back, because it feels like first item will be coming quickly. The Essence Reaver is still the priority here, while New is with the Hearthbound Axe. So should be seeing Gnar with the Mythic soon enough as well. I want to note, Clement, that, you know, I will be watching mid, because Wuming here is ready for the Mythic. I want to see what it is going to be to start us off, and see if we do get an Everfrost LeBlanc.
So it looks like the Tempest coming out. The penetration probably still favored, given that your target selection is mainly for the backline. And we do see Shanks trying to counter that with the early Merc Treads as well for the double chain. Indeed, Aki is just going to pop this mid lane. This is what I want to see out of them. Get that gold over to Wuming. That's always necessary on the LeBlanc. And we'll just see how much they can actually get right here. Very quick clear.
He didn't get any.
Oh,
didn't get any.
Yeah, it was only the jungle.
Yeah, only went over to Aki, so Wuming was too far away instead of distorting in for the quick hit. And yeah, kind of sad. Kind of sad that he wasn't in range. So Wuming not getting any. Aki picks it up, but the Herald does push down the turret a little bit. As New's going for the dive. The flash away from Breathe. It's matched by New. Picks up the house. Second throws there. Breathe is paying respect, but now he can walk back to lane after everything's used. New's going to take 2, maybe 3 turret shots at the end, but he will be able to stay healthy enough to clear.
That was very close to a solo kill. He was able to land that slow. He has double boots over Gangplank plus the Hearthbound hacks. So a bit unfortunate right there. I actually like the idea. That was definitely in range of a kill. Just missed 2 boulders in a row, but doesn't really matter that much, as OMG still picks up the Drake stack in the bottom side.
Also important to note that Breathe has ulti, you know, at this point. We have to keep track for the global of WE here, and every time it comes to an objective, WE's top laner can add his impact with the Cannon Barrage as well. So also keeps him busy enough in the top lane where he might have to use it defensively. Things might change though, because Clement, he has gone for the defensive option with his plated Seal Caps. Essence Reaver there now for Breathe as well. Iron Spike Whip just picked up by New, so no first item here. And this is the difference in that solo lane time we were talking about for the top lane GP that has given Breathe an advantage in this game when he was killed earlier for first blood.
Yeah, this is, you know, GP still holding on quite well in terms of the CS lead. But I think at this point, we are going to see OMG's just being able to use his Gnar to out-impact the GP in terms of team fights. He's going to have priority, and Wuming's coming in for the flash.
Aki ready to dive. Real flash burnt there by Shanks. Half health immediately. Chains connecting this game for Wuming, who now has the Tempest you were mentioning. Upset I don't see the Everfrost, but of course it does. I feel like it makes more sense to go for the Ludens here in this situation as well. So Mythic's coming online here for OMG. And that little pick sets them up for a bit of tempo as well. Turret plating went down earlier in the mid lane, but with the shove out, more deep vision set up here by Wuming, while New also pushes the top lane. So that tracking will help a lot.
And this is just sort of an awkward game where I think everything just went wrong from their top lane gank. Yeah. They missed the TP, the bot lane gets dove, so they're not winning in any of those lanes right now. And I actually have a hard time seeing where W actually, how they contest on this next Drake. This is going to be a huge one here. You have OMG potentially with a great follow-up. This is a composition that can catch people quite easy. We have seen Onslaught of Shadows into Kaisa's Killer Instinct. You can chain that. It does count as an Immobilize. So there's a lot of catch potential that OMG can just throw through. And with Aki and Wuming both being rather fed, this is very dangerous.
As you talk about catch, there's the follow through. Jiumeng dead. Eric flashes at the end. Not needed. But at the very least, kill goes over to Cold. So there you go, Clement. Catch potential even on the Tristana as Jiumeng burns double sums.
Yep, absolutely huge. This means no double sums for Jiumeng as we go into the next Drake fight.
Yep.
It's already been a uphill battle for them, and now it's going to get even worse. It's a very rare game where we don't see WE actually off to a good start. They actually had one of the highest KDAs at 15, especially for Beishang. And now he's finally going to get through a gank.
Really nice barrel chain from Breathe. The third comes out of nowhere, and New's definitely dead here. Want to give it over to Breathe. He gets the shutdown, and now all of a sudden W back in control on this top side. Bot might be getting killed, Clement, but Breeze's a level 11 GP who has the top lane to himself.
Now, after that kill, though, the Turplate's gold is already gone, so he's not going to be able to pick that one up.
Sure.
However, this top lane, we do see some great action being chained out right here. OMG, I don't think they're going to be actually in time to stop this Herald, but looks like W don't even want the fight either. Their bot lane was rotating over, and I felt like they actually had enough time to finish it, but they just didn't want to chance that one. And they're straight giving it over at this point. This is just going to be OMG taking up with the objectives. On the meantime, W do get the bot lane tower, but this tower for me doesn't have as much value. This was already going down. We saw it down to 2 plates already, so it wasn't a full tower, and there was no turret plates given over. So this is, I think this is actually a fine trade for OMG. With the Herald, this means that they can secure the 3rd Drake rather easily with the fork. And at this point in the game, I actually think that gives priority over the first brick gold on the bot side.
Because I was going to ask you that, you know, the first brick's good, keeping WE even in this game when they have a lot of scaling, but you're right, you know, the dragon coming through, 3rd dragon and then force the soul, feels like OMG are going to be at the perfect point in this game where they're going to have this huge mid game with LeBlanc, with Kaisa, the Gnar and Hecarim. You talked about the catch potential. That'll really be at its peak. And OMG can force a fight, force a pick that might give them over the soul and change the landscape of this game. As you can even see, Jiumeng at half health, man. Wuming's LeBlanc has been going steady, and steady's a danger for this AD carry.
W are not actually a tanky team themselves. They really want to play around priority from Zoe and Udyr, but they don't have it this game. So when it comes to the team fight, there's so many different targets that you could just run Onslaught of Shadows into. Hecarim's really hard to kill at this point in the game. He has way too much HP and survivability with the Spirit of Dread. And I think W actually have to be proactive here. If they are the ones caught out, Shanks and Jiumeng are not going to survive the combo. They're just going to straight up be completely blown up. So I actually like what W are doing here. They're not grouping up. They're not really trying to contest this one. Instead, they're just saying, we have to wait this one out. We've been beaten. Let's just get some more gold onto the Gangplank and see if scaling can save us.
But now Soul, though. 5 minutes in, Soul will be coming up. If they're going to lose this one, then they have to win the next. At the very least here for WE, what is it, Clement? Going to be like a 22-minute Ocean Soul for OMG to contest. And at that point, though, you do have to fight, and it does feel like OMG will still have a lot of success with the composition. So what do you need to see for WE to get themselves in a better position to lay out this game and, I guess, deny OMG the Soul coming up?
It's a really tough game for them to play right now. For W, I think their advantage is still in Gangplank and Tristana. Their scaling advantage will come out. Tristana in the late game, we have been able to see actually do a lot better compared to someone like the Kaisa. Just has 661 range in the late game. Also with the extra attack speed with rapid fire, is she's a really good 3rd item late game carry. Much better than what Kaisa can do for you in a front-to-back team fight. And Gangplank is kind of similar, and he has great scaling as well. So they're kind of waiting it out at this point. But the problem is, I don't think they're going to be able to survive the storm. I think the key item we need to see from Jiumeng is he definitely needs to get that Phantom Dancer before the next Drake fight. Phantom Dancer is a huge power spike. You get about 1,000 gold worth of attack speed if you land those 4 autos on anyone. So that's a great start. But he really needs that to kind of get them on even footing.
We'll be watching because he's not even there yet, right? Like, we have what could be the makings with the longsword into the Lord Dominic's regard. We've seen Tristana's go for the Phantom. You talk about all the Lord Dominics, but it does feel like the attack speed on comp that is rather squishy, that is at a point of early tankage. I guess I'll coin that with New and Cold still building those items. It feels like the attack speed's going to be more valuable stat. We'll watch Jiumeng closely. As for WE right now, they're just trying to defend their vision. Like, OMG being so aggressive, and you can see waves pushed up in the solo lanes. OMG respecting that they have priority.
Yeah, I think OMG is doing exactly what they need to right now. They're just trying to hold off to vision for picks, and the key thing to look at is they want to get summoners. If they can get summoners before the Dragon Soul, that's absolutely massive. A lot of times they will be able to trade just double chain into double distort for something like a healer flash out of Jiumeng. They get that, that's a huge win. That's what they're playing for right now. And for the rest of the map, W just want to disengage. They just want to farm up. They don't want any action to be created.
It's a composition that, again, you talked about, you know, there's not this hard front line. You have engaged with Leona, you have a lot of CC on the team. I guess Udyr as well, but it's nothing like a Sion, nothing like the Gnar offers as well. So I think for WE here, Clement, you know, we're looking at probably one of their weakest starts of the game. WE are a team who are 8-3 in the league. Remember, this is a top-tier playoff team against OMG, who's pretty much out of the runnings, out of everything apart from, you know, in what's the word I'm looking for? Actually out in the leaderboard. OMG are putting on a bit of a clinic. I was highlighting them against Rogue Warriors, highlight them again now. Kind of excited to watch this next Dragon fight because it's a minute 40 till that comes up. Look at the second items being built. It's actually new on the Gnar, who has Zaranduin's Omen. It's Banshee's Veil for Wuming as well. Those two items are going to be absolutely massive against a Zoe. And speaking of, I mean, Shanks is only an item and a half as we approach fast.
Yeah, and we see WE going for more frontline damage target selection here with the Last Whisper and also Leandri's Anguish. Sure. So just judging by these items, these are not your we're going to play for pick sort of situation. They know they're kind of beat in this situation. They're not even going to try. And I think for this Drake fight, it's going to be really hard for them to maneuver. If you look at the item from Jiumeng, he's not going for the 2-item spike. 2-item spike in terms of Phantom Dancer is a lot stronger. But if you want to deal with the Hecarim in the later phase of the game, then of course Lord Dominic's is better. Oh wow.
God. Yeah, I miss LeBlanc in the meta. Is now missing from the other angle, getting caught out. Beishang walks in front of OMG, doesn't pay the respect. Killer Instinct, Solar Flare lays him down, but doesn't matter. He cleanses away, and Eric does it again as he flashes away, picks up the double, Onslaught of Shadows into the backline. Aki's bit of Tokyo drift on the side. Wuming will get hit with a Troll Bubble. Breathe trying to clean this kill up, but Aki there. One hit wonder. Breathe comes in to make it more even than it was, but OMG still with a 2-for-1 package.
Yep, that's going to start them at 4v3, and most crucially, there is going to be no jungle in this next fight. Shanks has to be the one to pick this one up. I believe right now he still has the damage to actually outsmite if he can get a max range Paddle Star and just get some auto attacks or damage going in onto the objective at the same time. But it's going to be very, very difficult. Let's see if Shanks can do it as he's trying to hit things over the wall.
I mean, look, New's just running patrol. Dragon goes down. There's the soul. And WE now going up against a team that is going to extend these trades, Clement. Very bad territory for the 8-3.
Yeah, WE are... We have talked about this, but this matchup is absolutely crucial for them. If they can get into playoffs, it just takes so much pressure off of the team. But OMG are making a bit of a comeback fight right here. That was a surprising mid lane team fight because Aki wasn't even involved. Like, he didn't even need to go into the fight. Yeah. They just picked off Jiumeng with Killer Instincts and the damage coming out from LeBlanc. So they didn't even get their full combo online, and it was already too much for W to handle.
And look, let's provide context here because, you know, comeback in terms that OMG in the standings is a comeback. But OMG have been in control of these picks all game long as it started with Wuming on LeBlanc.
Yeah, Jiumeng actually tries to hold on to his summoners for the ensuing Drake fight. I like the idea here. However, the damage is already done, and OMG Cold is just so goddamn on point in these team fights. He's able to catch Beishang out, make sure the smite isn't going to be intervened. A great find by Shanks in the end, but just not enough to actually claw themselves back into the Drake pit.
I love the swipe, the trial by fire swipe that just one-shot Wuming. So an entertaining game to say the very least. As you know, Wuming going down meant that part of the pick potential was gone, but it didn't matter. Soul given over. OMG have it all as they're over the wall again. Beishang at half health. The Udyr layer down. Onslaught of Shadows hits again. Killer Instinct follow-up. Clement, your comp analysis was on point, man. Look at that follow-through from OMG as they've taken two more, and Baron staring them in the face. Wuming still going forward into missing. And this LeBlanc is wreaking havoc alongside OMG.
We call that the fear factor. We've seen it before from JD Gaming pulling off this same sort of combo, albeit with the fiddlesticks. It works every single time. Such a great backline chase. And OMG, a team that we really didn't expect anything out of, is taking it to WE.
And W walked on in thinking maybe they can get close towards the Baron, way too far. And missing will be yet another member to drop down. 11-3, and OMG as the pure underdogs, plain and simple, are handing it to WE.
Really wonder what W were thinking about this game, trying to go for this draft. We have to mention once more that this isn't your typical WE draft. This is a much more early pace action. We actually have seen W go a lot more for Azirs, Oriannas, Cassiopeias in the mid lane. Just keep that control mage here. I think this was just like Shanks trying something new. They wanted to get himself warmed up a little bit and look forward to other matches. But this time around, Wuming had his number, and this comp in the late game, if you look at Udyr and Zoe that aren't fed, they just don't do much in the team fights. They really just get ran over.
Really don't. But we'll look again because I think this is after the Baron. No, this is a pick that started Baron.
Yeah, this is a pick that started Baron. Beishang isn't tanky enough to withhold the damage right now, and that was Wuming bursting him down. Like, Eric wasn't even involved in that kill. They have enough damage to just go through the Udyr at this point. If you look at his items, he didn't go for the Force of Nature. He is going to go for the armor item instead. So Wuming actually had a very easy time just locking Beishang down. And I don't really see how W get back in this game. I honestly don't. I think they have the scaling potential, but they're so far gone at this point. 25 minutes, already 4K down. And OMG have that wombo combo to just kill the backline. Jiumeng still with no flash. Neither does Shanks have it.
I mean, Eric, who has been following up on these engages so beautifully, is a full item ahead of Jiumeng. And remember that Jiumeng got a bit of turret plating. He got the first brick. But as you were saying in this game, it might not have mattered because OMG were keeping tempo, keeping pace. And especially across these side lanes, OMG have been taking names as a WE threaten here for an inhibitor turret in the bottom lane. Apparently, I sound like a frog when I try and say inhibitor. Trouble level connects. WE, are they going to go in? Missing's waiting. Cold on the wing. 2 level advantage in support as well. Just shows you.
You can tell how confident OMG are about this one. They're just here to play cannon guard duty. In the meantime, Aki nearly solo takes down the tower. This is going to be a 2 inhibitor tower push coming in from OMG. And WE, they can't do anything about this. Even with Aki in the mid lane, they're finally going in.
Oh my god, Beishang's just dead. Hi, missing. Bye, missing. Hi, Jiumeng, and bye, Jiumeng too. Wuming, that's his clone. As he actually will get taken down. Shanks against the Nexus. Now dealing with Aki. 4 dead though for WE. 2 down for OMG. And again, they wipe him clean with an inhibitor down and now the threat of the game too.
Gonna be a 3-for-1. Shanks the only one left to defend this, and it's just not enough. The closest one up is gonna be Leona, but she doesn't provide damage. OMG are actually just gonna finish this one right here, right now. Their mini wave
23.5 minutes in the game, dude. Shanks trying to defend this, and he's done enough damage to New, so maybe they play it safe. But at the very least, OMG, they're holding control all across this map. They've got double inhibitor down. And Shanks, he's done a good job of defending, but OMG will break that last inhibitor. They'll run for their lives. Beishang on the chase, but let's see if the Udyr really can run stun. Because OMG here, it's a 5k gold lead, and the game is almost over pre-30.
This is absolutely insane against W. I feel like W actually got a little bit lucky right there. The minion wave thinned out from OMG. W in this team fight, they see Aki split pushing. They have to go all in. Beishang does a half committal. Like, he doesn't even try to flash on the carries. Dies instantly. Breathe actually trades one back, and that was huge on their part. If Eric was still there, they could have ended the game right then and there. But with that going on, W lived to fight another day. The problem is, I think that W have to be the one to go super aggressive in this one. They do not survive a combo from OMG. So they have to be the ones to look and pick off pieces before the fight itself even starts.
As they're waiting for a bit of a pick, you know, playing aggressive in this bush, sure, but maybe separated for now. Onto missing. A lot of damage here from OMG, remember. Watch Wuming, watch the likes of Eric on this Kaisa as News going forward, ready for the Gnar ulti. He's stunned up against the wall. There's 4, they fly on in, and immediately the setup is just gorgeous. OMG clean down WE. Bree trying to be the GP that 1v5. But man, you ain't been here in this series, you ain't been in this game, but you are put in the bin for game number 1.
OMG just with a magnificent team fight. They go in, a triple slam down from New, and everyone evaporates from WE. There isn't enough tankiness on this squad right now, and That is a shocker. We did not expect WE, 4th place currently in the standings, to fall to OMG, who are one of the bottom 5.
Bottom 5, meant to be a pretty subpar team in the LPL, but against Rogue Warriors and now against WE in game number 1. We set higher expectations for OMG. This is great because the last 3 games have just been so clean. OMG in pre-30 minutes against WE set us up for a higher bar in this series.
I did not expect that coming through. If I'm looking at this game, I think the most important lane is actually the bottom side. The bottom side, Triss versus Kaisa matchup. We typically have Tristana just pushing in constantly against the Kaisa, and Leona plus Alistar should, in theory, cancel each other out. But that wasn't the case. They actually found lane kills there. They got the extra flash coming down from them. And also because Tristana pushes so much, and Gangplank lost his teleport level 3.
Yeah.
That just meant that there was a bit of a backward snowball for WE's bottom side where they couldn't control the wave, they were constantly under threat, and they also lost all the early trades. So a bit of a bleed out coming in from the strategy that W drafted for themselves.
It's crazy because, like, this was the sloppiest early game from WE, and I know, like, looking at OMG here, should be complimenting the early game, but I think it's a two-part story of how WE let OMG get away with that game and how the early game affected them so much. It was breathe overextending, as you mentioned. It was the bottom lane trades that were like, okay, Eric and Cold were actually dominating that lane. There was a 2v2 kill that came along the way too. So pretty interesting to start this series off, and I'm impressed with OMG. I mean, I never thought I'd compliment this team. I felt like I was going to give them the Rogue Warriors treatment for the rest of the split, but OMG, man, like, that comp works so beautifully, right? You talked about how the setup was going to come through, the gap close they have, the follow-up they have when you get to 4-man ultis we saw at the end.
Yeah, it was really insane coming from them, and I think the key about this game was banning away Shanks' comfortable champions. They put Shanks on the spot, they had Wuming counterpick him, and they made sure he wasn't going to be playing control mages. The only control mage left here was the Victor, and honestly, Shanks didn't go for it. The big 3 has kind of been Orianna, Udyr, plus the Victor. We didn't see that coming out from WE. They went for this risky Zoe pick, and Zoe actually has a pretty bad win rate overall. Yeah, she's a champion that I think is going to have a very difficult time actually staying ahead. We haven't really seen Zoe's do that well, and it's not something that Shanks play. So a very successful draft strategy and just punishing mistakes from coming out from WE on the side of OMG.
It was. Aki again, another great game. You know, again, it was the Skarner games rather against Rogue Warriors that were real standouts. Now on the Hecarim versus the Udyr. Another reason why we've seen a lot of these LPL junglers are willing to take this matchup where they believe Hecarim, you know, does quite well. Of course, we know what Hecarim does in a fight versus what Udyr does. Very different roles, and Aki played that to a T. So, Clement, we're going to go to a break. When we return, see if WE can fight back or if OMG are just suddenly this really good team.